Okay, how about you start this one?
Hey, Winston.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a good chance that we could die riding in this country.
Sure. I mean, we always take a risk when we come to places like this, or when we ride through places like this, for sure.
But my point is, that would be our fault because we chose to do it. Am I correct?
Correct.
It wouldn't be like we did something so bad that someone else decided to take our life. It's our fault.
Sure.
However, today we're going to talk about the things that would get you executed in China.
Okay, sure thing. Well, I think if you want to get executed in China right now, just be Canadian, really.
Okay, that's a pretty...
Just kidding. But no, I'm going to use this as a recent case because there is a Canadian who's currently been given the death penalty. It's actually a bit of a political sham. We've talked about it, why he's in that position, but the reason why he has been given the death penalty is a legitimate reason in China, and that is to do with drug trafficking. Yeah. And in China, if you are caught with a certain amount of drugs in your possession, they treat it as if you mean to distribute it, right?
Right.
And you get a death penalty. That's how it works. And that's why I've always cautioned anyone who comes to China to just stay out of drugs. It's a terrible, terrible place to be caught up in any kind of drug thing.
If you get caught with very small amounts, it can be, and you got to also keep in mind that there is a political reason for them to crack down on something.
Yeah.
Maybe you only had a little baggie of meth or whatever, right? But who's to say the police officer doesn't have 60 pounds of it that they could throw at you?
Sure.
Right? So you never know. You can't trust a system with zero transparency, right? Anyway.
It's always some kind of political motivation. But I know people who've been just caught with marijuana in their system, not even on them, just because they smoked, and that they actually don't just take urine tests, they take hair follicle tests. Yeah. They actually take hair samples. So if you have any hard drugs in your system and you've taken something within the last couple of months or whatever, it'll show up.
Right.
And they can actually nail you for that. And
even if you smoked weed in California and then traveled to China.
Yeah. So I know people that have actually been deported and detained and stuff because they smoked weed before they came to China.
Right.
Tragic stuff.
I mean,
really.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but anyway, you're not going to get executed for smoking a bit of weed, but if you have a certain amount of weed, like a big bag of it or something, you can actually get executed. So that's one thing. Anything drug related, drug trafficking related,
sure,
will get you executed. How about something else?
Well, get the big guys out of the room. Of course, murder and rape, right?
Yep.
However, little caveat here.
Yeah.
Lots of murder and rape happens in some of these small towns. We've seen lots of videos, and if you have any sort of political sway, you can be guaranteed that you might be safe. Right?
Yeah, it won't be guaranteed, but you can probably be safe.
I shouldn't say guarantee. You can probably be safe.
I think let's wait this truck.
Yeah, I was going to go past, and I was like, that's probably a good way to get executed.
Yeah, exactly.
So, actually, there was a case. Weirdly enough, I know about this, a really bizarre case.
Okay, keep going. I want to check the GPS.
Sure.
I think we're near a turn.
I'm going to get off the road here. I know this really bizarre case. And it was actually in this tiny, tiny little village that me and you actually went to.
Okay.
And we were there in conquering southern China. It's where we found the Baijiu factory.
Right. Baijiu
factory.
Yeah.
It was the middle of Guizhou. It was pretty much completely cut off from the rest of the world. Remember we had to go on that dirt road?
I remember. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Like, this was the most apocalyptic, crazy, like, backwards looking place I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I Baidu searched it when I was there just to kind of figure out where I was. And the first thing that came up was this huge controversy that, got wiped from the internet, obviously. But what happened was this government official dude raped and killed I think she was either 14 or 16-year-old girl, right?
Right.
And they found her body in the river. Naturally, her parents were furious. Okay.
I would be too.
As would anyone. And they went apeshit, and they got all the villagers, and the whole village turned on him. Obviously, she's a little girl, and she's part of the village. But what happened was it kept getting pushed higher and higher. So into provincial courts, and then it got the attention of Beijing.
Okay.
But the people in the government were so paranoid and terrified that this was going to make the party look bad. It got too big to the point where they let the dude go.
Oh, okay.
And they shut up the family, and the family just wouldn't stop.
Right.
And they kept shutting them up. They'd find other ways to shut them up. They lost their jobs. They lost this. They lost that, right? And there was just enough shame eventually to where they just had to let it go because they realized it was hopeless. So when I say, murder and rape gets you the death penalty, of course, that's just a little factoid, but it's so much deeper than that in China, right?
Absolutely. In China, it's all about political connections.
Sure.
So, and like everything else, the laws there are just a guideline.
Right.
Most people break the laws to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But if you take the piss and you really piss someone off, then they can say, oh, hang on a second, but you know what? That will get you the death penalty, and because we don't like you or because you took the piss, we're actually going to give you the death penalty.
Yeah, it's so easy for them to exacerbate or falsify crimes there for favors, and it happens quite often. Sure,
or just, all of a sudden allow something to go on forever and then one day just turn around and say, oh, but you weren't really allowed to do that. So.
Right. So actually, you brought up an interesting point.
Yeah.
The majority of capital offenses in China are politically related. So we just talked about the very obvious things, right?
Yeah.
Of course, those things look at you the death penalty in China, but the majority of them, out of the 46, I believe that there are, that will get you the death penalty are political in nature. So you have things like spying, spreading political rumors.
I wanted to say something. That one thing you'll definitely get the death penalty is something that China absolutely encourages other people to do. Here's a political car.
Yeah.
Because Kim Jong-un and the dear
They're
little
literally
great
right here.
leader and so anyway, we'll get onto that soon. One thing that's encouraged by Chinese companies and the Chinese government is to steal secrets, state secrets, intellectual property, that kind of thing. But if you are, as a Chinese person, caught selling state secrets or like anything like that, you will get the death penalty.
Yes. If you are a soldier, if you defect, you won't get the death penalty. But
really?
If you defect with military equipment like planes or boats, you will get the death penalty. Very specific there.
Okay.
And there's a lot of really funny ones. One of them is cowardice.
Okay.
If you show cowardice in a war scenario as a PLA soldier, then you'll get the death penalty.
Okay.
And like all the political stuff you mentioned, if you are caught with Chinese intelligence and you're giving it to other foreign nations, of course. There's corruption is one of them, which can be arbitrarily thrown around. That's something Xi Jinping did a lot when he tried to consolidate power towards his, the lead up to his, I shouldn't say election, his choosing.
Yes.
He consolidated power by throwing that around his campaign against corruption, when in fact he was just really just getting rid of high-profile leaders that were in his way. Big factions and stuff. And there's so many things, but I guess the point that I was trying to make with this whole thing was, you can look at the list of capital punishment offenses yourself, but the whole point of this is that the law is incredibly arbitrary, and it's probably never on your side unless you have the money or sway to make it happen.
Correct, yes, for sure. So there are so many things, but I guess what we're trying to say at the end of the day is that to get the death penalty in China, it's really easy.
Yep, they execute most people in the world.
The way to get the death penalty is to piss the wrong person off.
Yep.
Simple.
Yep.
Super simple. As a foreigner, don't think that you will be let off the hook, because there are quite a few foreigners who've been executed. Usually got to do with drug-related stuff. Okay.
Yep.
But that's kind of what I'm saying, is a lot of foreigners that I know, they have this idea, especially Americans. They're like, oh, it's fine, I'm an American. The American, consulate's going to come help me out and get me out of this mess and what. But no, it doesn't work that way. No. If you break the law there, or if you're captured there for whatever reason, you're screwed, basically. There's no way out. You can get the death penalty, and you very well can end up in prison. And I know a lot of Americans who ended up in prison, actually.
Sure.
That kind of thing. So yeah, you got to be careful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's it, really. Anything you'd like to add?
I actually don't believe in the death penalty in functioning societies.
Let's do what the locals do.
But with a situation with China and stuff, I mean, you're never going to change that system. The death penalty is more of a tool than anything else. And to rid, to do favors and to rid the world of unsavory elements. It's pretty disturbing, and it's terrifying, and there's even cases, I mean, we touched on like the government given death penalty. And there was a scenario of this Irish guy obviously pissed off the wrong person in some small town, and they found him tied up in the river, floating down the river, decomposing, right? And they ruled it as suicide. So this is my point, is that execution can happen without the aid of the government. Actually, that was the aid of the government, because when it was ruled that it was a suicide, then it kind of gets swept under the rug, and China doesn't have to deal with it internationally. It was funny because they found his PlayStation 3 was on with his door open and TV was still on. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff that terrifies me, is that with enough sway, enough bribes, enough this kind of stuff, a lot of stuff just disappears and we don't even hear about most of it.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Anyway. Yeah, you know, as far as the death penalty is concerned, is this like Spain or something, this car?
What's up?
Watch out for this truck.
Mother.
No, this, the political car here. Is that a Spanish flag?
I can't see.
Anyway. You know, when it comes to the death penalty, I don't really know, to be honest. I'm on the fence, because in my country, South Africa, the death penalty was around till probably the late 70s, early 80s or something. Maybe even later than that. In fact, I'm talking crap, probably till the 90s.
Sure.
Man, this political dude drives like a political douchebag.
Well, he's allowed to.
I guess so. You know, the problem is in South Africa, there's horrendous crimes going, like horrendous crimes. Right. And there's no deterrent anymore.
Sure.
Because, you know, when the death penalty was around, if you like raped an entire family and set them on fire, you'd get the death penalty.
Sure.
Now you get like 10 years in jail or something.
Right.
So there's no incentive for criminals not to be absolutely disgusting.
Sure.
So I don't know where I stand with that. I'm not going to make a definite answer, but yeah. Whether you do believe in the death penalty or not, we love you all the same, because that's a personal choice.
Yeah.
And until next time, unlike this political douchebag who looks like a wanker.
Oh, is that a dragon?
Yeah, it looks like a lion with a knife.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I have no idea.
Yeah. Just stay awesome. ADV China, every Monday. Same time, same place. Wednesdays, Lao 86, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, on Friday, just in time for a beer, Serpent ZA.